Psalm 102 verse 2 and 3 are prophetic of Christ's humanity at the cross. Psalm 102:2, Do not hide your face from me in the day of my distress, incline your ear to me, in the day when I call answer me quickly. The psalmist humbly begs of God to take notice of his condition and of his prayer centered in his affliction. As the powers of darkness lengthen and multiply their aggression in the days of our distress, so must we counter the demonic entities, wrestling them with prayers of power through God's Spirit. The Spirit addresses this through Paul's pen in Ephesians 6:10-18. Finally, be strengthened by the Lord and by his vast strength. Put on the full armor of God so that you can stand against the tactics of the devil. For our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the world powers of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavens. This is why you must take up the full armor of God, so that you may be able to resist in the evil day, and having prepared everything, to take your stand, therefore, with truth like a belt around your waist, righteousness like armor on your chest, and your feet sandaled with readiness for the gospel of peace. In every situation take the shield of faith, and with it, you will be able to extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is God's word. Pray at all times in the Spirit with every prayer and request, and stay alert in this with all perseverance and intercession for all the saints. Psalm 102:3, For my days have been consumed in smoke and my bones have been scorched like a hearth. For my days are consumed literally, as if they were smoke, they pass away and become nothing, despite the affliction that encompasses them, all subjugating efforts appear to accomplish nothing. These terms describe the emotional and physical toll of either the psalmist's ordeal, the prophetic ordeal of the coming Messiah, or both. This is not the first psalm that David wrote prophetically about Jesus' suffering, and as we read it, we will cover some interesting parallels and gain insight from the humanity of Jesus. This is Psalm 22:1 to verse 22 from Christ's suffering upon the cross. My God, why have you abandoned me? Why are you so far away when I groan for help? Every day I call to you, my God, but you do not answer. Every night you hear my voice, but I find no relief. Yet you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you rescued them. They cried out to you and were saved. They trusted in you and were never disgraced. But I am a worm and not a man. I am scorned and despised by all. Everyone who sees me mocks me. They sneer and shake their heads, saying, Is this the one who relies on the Lord? Then let the Lord save him. If the Lord loves him so much, let the Lord rescue him. Yet you brought me safely from my mother's womb and led me to trust you at my mother's breast. I was thrust into your arms at my birth. You have been my God from the moment I was born. Do not stay so far from me, for trouble is near, and no one else can help me. My enemies surround me like a herd of bulls, fierce bulls of Bashan have hemmed me in. Like lions, they open their jaws against me, roaring and tearing into their prey. My life is poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax, melting within me. My strength has dried up like sun-baked clay. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You have laid me in the dust and left me for dead. My enemies surround me like a pack of dogs, an evil gang closes in on me. They have pierced my hands and feet. I can count all my bones. My enemies stare at me and gloat. They divide my garments among themselves and throw dice for my clothing. O Lord, do not stay far away. You are my strength, come quickly to my aid. Save me from the sword, spare my precious life from these dogs. Snatch me from the lion's jaws and from the horns of these wild oxen. I will proclaim your name to my brothers and sisters. I will praise you among your assembled people. This, by the way, is often the feelings of a person caught up in various trials, yet, the person going through that trial may become more usable to the kingdom as a result of those testings, thus enabled to accomplish more for the full purpose and plan that God has chosen for their lives. The fire of the forge may do more to hammer out and prepare an ambassador's ability to illustrate the majesty and excellence of our God than they ever could, should they have remained sheltered in a state of prosperity and well-being. The psalmist reports that the trial is so grievous that his bones feel as if they served no greater purpose than to be fuel for a fire. His bones, the most solid and substantial part of a human body, seem to be consumed and laid to waste by the intensity of the troubles that prevail around them. As prosperity and joy are represented by fat, so the bones here represent the contrary. He protests, "My bones are like those burned on a hearth. For my days are consumed like smoke. My grief has made life unsubstantial to me, I seem to be but a puff of vapor that has nothing in it and is soon dissipated." The metaphor is very admirably chosen, for, to the despondent person, life appears to be so delicately fragile, which can then be surrounded by so much that it seems darkened, defiling, blinding, and depressing. When a person in that condition submits to the despair, they comparatively see themselves as a man wandering in a dense fog, and they themselves are so dried up that they are little better than pillars of smoke. When our days have neither the light of joy nor fire of energy in them, they become as smoking flax which dies out ignobly into darkness, then we truly have cause enough to appeal to the Lord that He would not utterly quench our lives. How often has our weak faith troubled us, or has our piousness appeared to be nothing more than smoke? A troubled soul that we may have experienced in our own heart will help us to interpret the scenario illustrated here. Apart from the prophetic, the psalmist was moved to grief by a view of national calamities, and these so weighed on his patriotic soul that he was literally wasting away with anxiety. His human spirit was dried up, and his very life seemed ready to expire. There is hope for any country which has as a foundation such a son, thinking of George Washington, who said that no nation can die while true hearts are ready to die for it. This brings me to the prophetic words of Caiaphas the high priest of Jesus' time, although I am sure that he was unaware of the true source of the truth spoken in John 11:50-51. It is expedient for you that one man die for the people, and that the whole nation not perish. Now he did not say this on his own initiative, but being a high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus was going to die for the nation.